Hello everyone, welcome to the third episode on data analysis with Excel. Today, we're going to talk about logical functions. Have you ever wanted Excel to make decisions for you, like grading your exam scores or checking if someone got a distance in your sales data? That's what logical functions do. Today, I'm going to show you how to use Excel's logical functions to test conditions, return results, and avoid manual checking. Let's get into it. I know most beginners will scroll through in a scenario where you want to grade your exam scores as in pass or fail. You're going to scroll through one after the other and check yourself if it's maybe greater than 80, that's your pass mark, and below that is your failure mark. So beginners normally go through the stress checking one after the other. That one will be simple or less tedious, but remember, working with data, you are expected to have tons of data and you cannot do that one after the other. Even if you can do it, it will take you a very long period of time to do that. But with Excel's logical functions, you can just write your formula and then just double click and it affects the whole worksheet for you and you get your answers. So at the end of this video, we're going to use the if statement. You combine multiple if statements where we have the nested ifs. Also, we couple it with and or operations. We handle the errors with if error and we apply these logic functions in some examples. Let's begin. We have a prepared sample data set for these practicals. Logical functions let Excel return one result if condition is true and another if it's false. The most common is the if function. So if the situation we are looking at for holds for that particular row, then it returns an answer. If not, it returns another answer. So we have this data set. We have our date, the product, quantity, and a target. So we want to know if our sales or our target for every product was achieved. Okay, so for product apples on a date 5th January, we have target to be 100 and we have our quantity to be 120. We have same for bananas 80 and the target was 90. So in this scenario, we are saying that okay, for each product we have our target quantity. So using the if statement on a logical function, we want to know which of these products met its target and which of them couldn't. So we can use the definition that if the quantity is greater than the target, then we achieved it, else not achieved. And we can do that in this column. So we can name it as what? As status. So we have status. Can write our logical statement. So for this case, we are using the if statement. So we begin with equal to, so if, then bracket opens. So looking at the preview over here, if statement, you write your logical test. So our logical test for this particular instance is that C2 should be greater than or equal to D2. And if that statement is true for the row, it should return the value here, which is value if true. And if it doesn't, it returns the value if false. So we are supposed to use cell referencing. I know, remember why we need cell referencing. So C2 greater than or equal to, that's how you write greater than or equal to in Excel, D2. So when you write it correctly, you see your two cells highlighted. So if C2 is greater than or equal to D2, comma, that's the syntax. What should be outputted? It should be in quotation mark. So we can use achieved, close, comma. Then what do you want Excel to output when the statement is false? Not achieved, also in quotation mark. Then we close the bracket. Let's see. Let's run and see what happens. So for the first one, apples, the quantity we had was 120 and our target was 100. So it means that we achieved our target. We can do that and see for ourselves. So banana quantity was 80 and our target was 90, so we couldn't achieve our target. So just double clicking, Excel has given us the results in splits of seconds. Oranges quantity was 150 and our target was 140, so we achieved. You can go through one after the other and see that with the if statement, we'll be able to tell which of our products achieved the target and couldn't achieve. Okay. We have now seen how the if statement works out. What about nesting other if statements inside it? So you have one bigger if with sub if statement. Okay, so this example is commonly used for our grading system, where we say that if a person gets above 80, it is an A, above 75 but less than 80, it's a B, it's a B plus, above 70 but less than 75, it's a B, and so on. So you can use nested if to also generate such results. But in our data set here, we can also talk about saying that if our target is up to a specific number, then okay, excellent. If it's below this threshold, good. And now if it's below some level we are not okay with, then it needs improvement. This particular scenario combines multiple if statements, giving us the nested ifs. We can use nested ifs to also show which product needs to be restocked. So let's say that if our product is having quantity of 200, then it is full. Below 150, we can say that almost full, and then below 100, we can say needs restock based on our sample data. So beginning with our if statement equals if bracket opens. So we are looking at what? The quantity column. So C2. I always use the first cell of interest, then we run through for the remaining. So if C2 is greater than or equal to 200, comma, it should return what? Full, in quotation mark, full, comma. So initially, applying only the if statement, we would have written the false output, but because we are nesting several ifs, after the comma, we bring another if statement and open bracket. So now we've nested if inside one bigger if. So now if C2 again is greater than or equal to 150, comma, we can output almost full. Now else it should output needs restock. Oh, it's because of where I wrote, it should be here. Okay, so inventory. Okay, so for our first output for apples on 5th January, it needs restock because it's less than 150. So let's double click and see what happens. So we have 80 here, also needs restock. We have oranges 150, almost full. 100 needs restock. Then grapes on 11th January is full. So this means that when you have several outputs to make for the logical statement, the way we nested this if after the first one, we could have inserted another if statement here, and continue till we reach the final step, and then we bring the false statement. That's the nested ifs. So you can also try generate some random scores, exam scores, and then try to grade them using nested if statement. And you see that it will do that for you. Very, 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 very simple. Good. So this will spare you time. Could have gone through and check one after the other. Apple, okay, 120 needs restock, like that, and it will take forever to get a data set of about 3,000 rows. Continue. We are going to apply the Boolean operators alongside the logical if statement. So the Boolean operator like AND and OR. So we have instances where we use both Boolean operator. Okay, so in our particular question, we want to see if there are bonuses on our quantity. So using the target column, we have 100. Now the quantity is, for example, the apples, the first apples, we have 120. So the remaining 20 on top of the quantity is bonus. So you can see that if our quantity is greater than or equal to the target, and also the quantity is greater than or equal to let's say 120, then there is bonus, else no bonus. So that means the 20 on top of the 100 in a quantity is the bonus. Okay, let's try that and see. So if, always begin with equal to if, and remember we are using the AND operator. So if and, okay, bracket opens, C2 is greater than D2, okay, comma, and then C2 itself is also greater than or equal to, let's say, 130, okay, bracket close, comma, then our statement, if it is true, then there is bonus. If it's false, then there's no bonus. So when we hit enter, we are seeing that apples on 5th of January 2025 has no bonus. This is because our quantity is 120, and yes, it is greater than our target 100. But the fact that we are using the AND operator, both this condition and this condition should hold. So if this is true, the second one should also be true before we can get the first output value if it is true. And then if both of them are false, or if either one of them, sorry, for AND, if either one of them is false, then we get the value if false. So let's see, is C2 greater than 150? Sorry, 130? No, but it is greater than 100 because we are having one false statement, that is 120 is not greater than or equal to 130. That's why I'm getting no bonus. So we double click and see if you are going to get a bonus in any of our situation. Okay, so looking at oranges on 7th January 2025, we had 150. So for the first condition, greater than or equal to D2, D2 is 140. So 150 is greater than or equal to 140. And also 150 is greater than or equal to 130. So it means that we have some bonus over there. We have 100 greater than, it's not greater than 130, and it's not also greater than D2, which is 110. So this is also about the Boolean. We can try making here or. For or instance, if any of them is true, then we get the value if true. That's the difference between and or. And has to go with true true gives you true, true false false, false true false, false false, then it gives you the true statement. So let's see, we have 120 greater than 100. Because this statement is true, we are getting the true statement, which is bonus. But we wanted both assumptions to be correct before giving out a bonus. So for this instance, when you use or, your answers will be correct logically, but that's not what you expect. Okay, so we go back to the AND. Okay, so with the knowledge you've gotten today, we can also try in column J. Okay, you mark any quantity greater than or equal to 100 as yes, and if it's below 100 as no. This is a simple if statement. So in column J, mark quantities with inventory greater than 100 as yes, else no. So this is an example you can try. So I'm expecting to see that the first apples here will have yes, this will have no, yes, yes, no, yes, yes, no, yes. I'm expecting to see something like that. You can try it and see how it goes. You're going to use the if statement, a simple if statement. You're going to have a small mini challenge. So in this challenge, create column L and name it status. So in this status, if a quantity is greater than the target, output met target. Else, if quantity is greater than or equal to 10 less than target, output almost. Else, miss. You can try this mini project and see how it goes. Thank you for having me today, and we'll be back with the fourth tutorial on Excel for data analysis. Bye.